couple thoughts crossed my mind. I've been here to speak a few times. We've talked about this incident. We've talked about what took place on 9/11. We've talked about what's taken place since. And my thoughts got interrupted last night when Lee Feldman and I got a call. Can you hear me okay? Try that. My thoughts last night got interrupted when Lee Feldman and I got a call. The call was that one of our police officers had a heart attack and was on the way to the hospital. And as I got in the car to head down there, Lee got in the car to head down there, got to the hospital, and I watched a bunch of heroes in action. And you think about 9/11 and we talk about how heroic it was, and then here I am on September 10th of 2014 sitting in the hospital, and I watched one of our police officers come in who had the heart attack, who was thankfully saved by another police officer, Officer Dorvis, who had the great sense to grab an AED and to help him. And as I'm sitting there watching this, I watch about 6 or 7 firefighters walk in. Guys have other people on the gurney, other people on the stretchers. They'd already rushed this officer to the hospital, but as we're there, 2 more pull in, 2 more fire trucks, 2 more transports. And I'm watching these men and women do such unbelievable work. First of all, I can tell you how proud I was, and I know how proud our city manager was, to observe this. To see firefighters going about their duty, to see first responders, paramedics, rushing in and out of the hospital to save lives. To see our officers there who united around an individual who had gone down to make sure he's okay. And you realize that 9/11 happens every single day. It doesn't happen to the extent that it happened with the tragedy. It doesn't happen to the extent that it happened with the loss of lives. But every single day, the men and women behind me, the police department, the fire department, we're so honored today to have the Coast Guard with us. The men and women behind me perform heroic acts. You look out at the children, and I suspect most of you weren't even born on 9/11. To you, this is a historical thing as much as 1776 is to others. But let me put it in perspective for you, and it's especially for the children. These people right here, the men and women in uniform, are your day in and day out heroes. They are the individuals who every single day get up and take a pledge that they're going to go to trouble when trouble comes to you. And that's not they're going to go to trouble when trouble comes to them, because they do that too. But think of the concept. They will rush in to help you and put themselves in harm's way to assist others. It's the most selfless, unselfish approach you can take to life. And so I hope that as we focus on today, we remember what happened in Pennsylvania, remember what happened at the Pentagon, we remember what happened in New York City, and we think back and we pause and we reflect on all those that we lost, all those first responders. I hope that we also think about the military response. Because when you all stood up, we just recognized those members of our service military. That's a citizen soldier. You know, we're a nation that we just don't continue to just keep people there to fight. We call them up in times of need. And we also need to make sure we thank them, because those soldiers respond on our behalf. But as you think of the loss of life on 9/11, the loss of life in the 2 wars that we fought after in Iraq and Afghanistan, I want you to just take a second to thank these people day in and day out. When you see them at your school, when you see them in your neighborhood, when you see them at your civic association meeting. And realize 9/11 happens every single day. And it's something that we are so blessed here in Fort Lauderdale to have the finest first responders. These firemen are top notch. 45,000 calls last year. Think of that number in a city of our size. This police department, top notch. We just got the lowest crime rate that we've kept as long as we've maintained records going back to 74. And it's not because of the individuals that serve on the commission. It's because of the men and women who serve your community in public safety, day in and day out. keeping us safe, keeping us secure. So as we think back and we remember those that we lost, I hope we don't ever forget to thank those that are still with us and those that will be with us and help us maintain this great quality of life. So I would ask, I know it's a solemn ceremony, but I would ask that the citizens of Fort Lauderdale turn to the men and women who serve and give them our thanks.